Hey everybody, Ralph Havens here, autoimmuneanswers.com. And years ago, Jen and I were on a mission. We loved these coffee drinks called flat whites. We were at our favorite coffee place, one of our favorite coffee places. We had a few, and it was deep in our neighborhood, Mission Hills in San Diego, and we'd walk about a mile to it. And this one barista was on a mission to make the perfect flat white, which is a type of latte, a type of coffee drink that I guess was started somewhere in Australia or New Zealand or something. And then we had it in Vancouver, Canada when we were on vacation. And here was this guy in Mission Hills in San Diego that was making, trying to make the perfect drink. And he would even take pictures of it. And so we were there. And one of the things that we loved to do, and we were about, it was Mother's Day of 2011, and Ben was going to be born later in October, but Jen was pregnant, and it was Mother's Day, and we were sitting at our favorite coffee shop, and I was reading my book, and Jen was reading her book, and something happened that was kind of funny. You know, we had been using Matrix Energetics since 2009, and one of the cool things I got out of that was, one of the big things was, it was just so much easier. It was like such a relief, because up until that time I'd been doing a lot of very strong, very specific medical intuitive work that took lots of training, lots of skill, and it was 110 classes over 10 years, and I was still in that. But I had taken Matrix Energetics back in 2009, and everything changed at that point, because everything was just so much easier than I ever imagined. It's like, so there I was, and I was reading a book by Adi Ashanti. I forgot which one it was, but he was talking about what happened to him. You know, he was a guy that studied with a Buddhist woman for many, many years, as far as I remember, many years, but going deep into meditation, and he wasn't getting what he was wanting out of it. And he was at Buddhist monasteries, and he wasn't getting what he wanted. And he was so dedicated. I believe I have the story about right as far as the years. It might not be exactly right, but I was reading about him, and he had spent his meditation was to stare at a blank wall, and just sit there and not do anything, not do any techniques, not do any meditation, just kind of look at a blank wall. And he said, when you do that for 17 years, stuff happens. And I thought, and he has a really cool way of doing what he calls true meditation, and it's what I use. It's basically something that that I've come to use in different ways, and found other teachers that have a way to talk about this. Kind of like my friend who had a near-death experience, and I asked him, what was it like? And he said, well, instantly I knew everything, and I was everything. And if you haven't seen those interviews, they're really good. With a guy that, about 4 or 5 interviews that I did with this guy that had a near-death experience. And so so I was reading Adi Ashanti's book, and I thought, wow, wouldn't that be cool to, what would that experience be like? And I dropped into the Matrix Energetic state, and then we were out on the back deck of this really nice coffee shop overlooking a beautiful canyon in Mission Hills, and there's all these eucalyptus trees. And out of a still morning, all of a sudden the wind just whipped up and whipped up and whipped up. And Jen could feel whatever this was. When I accessed this thing just with a thought, I was like, wow, what would it be like to have done that? You know, 17 years of staring at a wall. And she said, what are you doing? And I kind of laughed, because I was like, well, you know, Matrix Energetics, we're in this state, and I'm just reading about this and just having a thought of wondering about, like, wow, what was that like? So when you're in these videos, when you're watching these videos, you're there's something in Matrix Energetics that's accesses something that's very simple, very profound, very fast, the easiest thing I've ever done. And now there's another way that we've been using to go deep into whatever that is. And Jen and I'm getting very excited about something that Jen is creating and doing, and we're going to be talking about that in the next week or 2 or 3, somewhere in there. We're going to be getting more information out to what we're up to and what we're using. And part of it is it's easier and simpler than we've ever been led to believe. And a lot of what we've been told just isn't quite accurate. There's an easier way. And what Jen is finding is really amazing. So we'll be releasing that and talking about that coming up. So look for that. And I'll tell you how you can make sure you get it when we talk about it. But when we were at the coffee shop, all of a sudden a little cat showed up. So a little bitty baby orange cat showed up. These girls came into the coffee shop and they went straight back to the back deck and said, "This is your cat. This is your cat." And we're like, "We can't have a cat. We're moving our office and we're about to have a baby, and we can't have a cat." And we were going to move our office from our office to our home, and we thought a cat, and you can't just have a cat running around in an office, and all sorts of things. And but then they told us the story. Zoe wasn't named Zoe at the time, but this guy had been riding his bike in Orange County, which is about an hour away from us, and he had to go pee or something, and he went into the off the road, and there was a little baby cat in a bird cage with a little bit of water. There might have been a toy or something, and that was it. Somebody had left a kitten in a bird cage off the road where you couldn't see it, and so he took the cat, of course, and took it home, biked all the way back home. But he traveled a lot and he couldn't keep a cat, and so his granddaughters and their friends were taking the cat around to see where the home was, and it brought it out to us in the back of the deck, and we're like, "Well, I guess this is actually our cat." So we took Zoe, and it was really amazing. And there's a whole another story to Zoe, and I don't think she was ever even concerned when she was in that bird cage. She just seemed to roll with all of that, and it was quite amazing. So there we were with our flat white coffees and our new cat, and I had this experience of like, wow, it's even easier than we imagined. And so, there's a lot of work that we all do, right? Like Adyashanti stared at a wall for 17 years, and I did 10 years of medical intuitive training and continue to do that, and all sorts of other stuff, other training. I'm going to a whole week of wisdom healing qigong here coming up soon. But at its core, there's something even more direct, and it can be easier than we've ever imagined. And the physics guys talk about that, how there's infinity in every dot of the universe, but how do you access that? So we've been playing with that, and it's part of what we use when we do our work to help people overcome conditions, autoimmune conditions, anxiety conditions, stuff like that, and other things to help people get healthy and happy and whole. But that's what we're up to, and we're going to be releasing something and talking about it here in the next week or 2 or 3. And so if you want in on that, the list I'm going to be sending it to is my my group. If you want to, you can get the whole ebook, a free ebook, End Anxiety Forever, and then I'm going to let you know when I talk to Jen and we do this on live on a YouTube thing, and you can get it at autoimmuneanswers.com/end anxiety forever. autoimmuneanswers.com/end anxiety forever. And you'll get a free ebook and get a whole bunch of other cool stuff. But it's going to be a way that I can let you know when Jen and I do this thing. So I hope you're having a great day. And wherever you are, I hope you're accessing that deep inner wisdom, and let me know how it goes even after watching this video. So autoimmuneanswers.com/end anxiety forever. You can grab that if you like, and I will see you at the next session. All right, let's get out there and live. Let's really live. Bye now.